Afternoon, it's Shirley with Spirit of Matter. I just missed the Jupiter hour by 2 minutes. But this is January astrology. I want to say Happy New Year for the people who celebrate Novigot. So, at the moment of the recording, the ascendant is on the inauspicious degree of 18 degrees Gemini, and its ruler is 22 degrees Sag, Mercury retrograde. And the midheaven is Jupiter ruled, with Jupiter in the 12th house. Ooh! Saturn is the most angular. No, Mercury. No, Saturn. Actually, Saturn. The moon is in Virgo in the 4th house, just released from a conjunction with the black moon Lilith, and is releasing from a trine to Jupiter. The ruler of the day is Luna, moon, and the ruler of the hour is Mars, which is in the 7th house, 27 degrees Sag. Sun in 10 degrees Capricorn in the 8th house. Yes, not the best election, but I understand that I haven't done January astrology and it's time. Anyway, let's do it. So, in the background, I'm cooking some potatoes and some Aeon eggs, so I might have to get up. Now, what's happening in January? So, who do we got going direct, going retrograde? First of all, Pluto direct the whole month, and Mars, Venus direct the whole month, Mercury about to station direct and will continue to do so. Same with Saturn and Neptune. Jupiter direct the whole month, and Uranus, let's see. Let's talk about Uranus for a second, because Uranus is turning direct on January 27. So this will make nearly, I think the entire sky will be direct. Yeah. Mercury is turning direct tomorrow. So if I waited just one more day, I could record this tomorrow, but Mercury is turning direct tomorrow. This means that as of January 27, and now let's check this, because we will be having a fully direct skies, which means that things are going to go more smoothly. And that is worth taking a note. This means the entire February is fully direct. Okay. And let's take a look at March. Yes, the entire March is fully direct. So we're going to have, as of the end of January, until, let's see, until April 2nd, we're going to have a fully direct skies. Okay, if you're born on this time, if you're having babies, there are some famous astrology couple babies that are supposed to arrive and embark at this time. So if you're born at the time where all the planets are direct, or you bring in a child to the world where all the planets are direct, that is something that contributes to a smoother ride. Okay, of course they can be eclipse child, but a smoother ride. And as transits, to have all the skies direct, it means that we are moving forward and things are going more smoothly. Now that depends on your natal chart. Okay, for natal chart, you might be having a better time with Mercury retrograde if you have Mercury retrograde natally. So it might be too fast for you, but other than that, this is an important note. If you need to launch something, if you need to start a new project, if you need to get something going that you want to have a forward movement to, then as of January 27 to April 2nd, within this window, which is a huge window of time, you can find an election that better fits your needs, okay, depending on what it is that you want to do. Of course, if it's a baby, then you don't have all the control in the world, even if you set for a cesarean. So yeah, now let's go back to January, and we'll begin with the direct motion of Mercury, which is happening tomorrow. So tomorrow, Mercury is turning direct on the 22nd degree of Sag. If you know me, you know that 22nd degree is something that I pay an emphasis to. This is a degree that can be lethal. So this doesn't mean that something will happen for you for your personal chart. It might mean that you will see something on the news referring to such lethality, and the good thing about it is that Mercury is going to go over this degree and continue on. This basically the good thing about it. Mercury has to do with our communication, with our contracts, exchange, but also children, lawyers, and people who have occupation to do with technology. Okay, so the lethal technology is something you want to pay attention to. And also the lives of children. Okay, there's a discussion in Jupiter sign. There is a change of worldview around the topic of death of children. Okay, so you might get new information about this. Sun is going to be on the 11th degree Capricorn tomorrow, and the moon will be squaring this direct motion. Now, other than the 22nd degree, Mercury has been retrograde in both Capricorn and Sagittarius. Now it's going direct. There is still something called the shade period, and with Mercury it's going to be very literal because people are still going to throw shade, and that is the period where Mercury is just going over the same situations, but now being more informed. Okay, so words coming back to you, and you don't have to be afraid of it, because you have to remember there was a reason you were saying what you were saying when Mercury was retrograde. Now with Mercury direct, you're more informed. Your thinking has become more informed, and you tackle perhaps even similar situations. You have to think both the end of Sag and the beginning of Capricorn until 8 degrees Capricorn. This is the shade of Mercury. Okay, it's direct. Yes, you can move forward with things, but since there is still the shade, you are still unraveling information. Okay, so you need to see where is Sag in your chart, where is Capricorn in your chart. Jupiter is already direct, Saturn is direct, so you're just dealing with Mercury, okay, which is big enough. So this is the first thing to talk about, and I'm going to do the direct motion of Uranus before I get to the lunations and everything that's going on, or ingresses, just for the sake of fuzzy order, because this is big. Uranus has been retrograde for quite a while. Of course, it's an outer planet, so we're thinking in terms of 6 months. It's turning direct on the 19th degree, and as you know, Uranus has already been on the 19th degree of Taurus for a while now. And we're going to continue to spend time on the 19th degree of Taurus until the end of the month. Okay? And 27 January is where this Uranus is going to be direct. That means that because it's already on the degree, okay, the entire 19th degree is of Taurus is being widely explored. Okay, this is what happens when we have an outer planet doing this. And because it moves so slow, the entire month is kind of like the shade of this Uranus stationing direct because we are on the degree. Okay, so you think about usually a week before when the planet is stationing to go direct, we have the stationing timestamp thing slow down. It's like a movie that you stretch. Okay, and you can recall, I particularly remember the Mercury retrograde in Taurus where I could not clean anything in the home. And was informed of how trauma is related to that, and the Pluto stationing to go direct. That was also something to do with cleaning, but in particular, yeah, there was smell that I couldn't clean and stuff like that. And then the war broke, and we had kittens born. So, you know, kittens, they poo everywhere. So I would be cleaning in a very joyous way because the puppies would poo somewhere. Then I would clean that place, but they would bring good energy. So you pay attention to the stationing. It's kind of like the stretching of the bow before we go to direct movement. With Uranus, we are there. This is the stretching of the bow. And remember, Uranus is going to go direct over. And I want to speak mundanely because usually we speak in astrology. You say, yes, Uranus is going to go over and it will reach the 22nd, the 23rd degree of Taurus, and it ends its shade period in about April, May. Uranus is going to go direct on the 7th of October on the deportation of refugees in Europe, on the deportation of refugees in Pakistan to Afghanistan, okay, that has a Taliban rule, okay, to the nuclear submarines of the United States around Israel, Egypt, and China, okay. Uranus is going to go direct on these. Uranus is going to go direct on Free Palestines and Jews' doors marked in the Star of David in Passover. In Passover. Uranus is going to go direct on the 7th of October in Passover. Okay. I can't stress the importance of the time enough. I'm not talking about Israel. Yes, Passover, if you go even to Babylon, it is, Aries is the beginning of the new year. It's the spring in the kind of like more central part of Earth. It is about going... everything is blooming, okay? But it's also going from the winter to the summer. And yes, we have the story, the biblical story of going from slavery into freedom, okay? And there are a lot of significations for these times, Chodesh Nisan, and both astrological and esoterical, and it's going to be around eclipses. So Uranus turning direct, going over the past 6 months and culminating to the 22nd degree around the time where we celebrate Passover. I don't remember if it's going to be on the 21st degree. And who is joining us? If we didn't remember what is happening in Passover, then we have Jupiter. that is going to be conjunct in Uranus right at this point, at 21 and later 22 degrees Taurus. Okay, this is radical revolution, religious liberation around religion, people who are oppressed because of their religion. Historically, it is about the Jews going out of Egypt. Okay? Not the Palestinians. I'm just saying, okay? There are reasoning that those things are orchestrated in a certain particular way. And I talked about the Jupiter-Uranus and the risk of religious revolutions and all that stuff. This is happening in a Venus sign. So again, we really don't know where this will go. Okay, but this one is a particular direct motion that is going to be felt not just in the Middle East, but in the entire planet. Everyone, okay? I don't make the rules. This is what happened, where everyone's we're doing demonstrations, okay, that call to genocide, okay, all around the world. It's not calling to freedom, okay? It's calling to elimination of whoever is living there of a particular religion that is not the religion that they want, okay? When we had it all around the world, that people had the doors marked with the Star of David, okay, all around the world, wherever you went, okay? Now Uranus is going to go direct on this. This is a very, very explosive time, okay? Because the direct motion is Uranus going, I'm informed. I'm informed of the revolution. I'm informed of these rebels. I'm informed of our rebellion. I'm informed of the many things. And now it's going to go on a direct motion. Okay? Culminating with the Jupiter conjuncting Uranus on the 22nd degree in freaking Passover. Okay? Passover, what happened? The biblical story. The Jews had 12 times, okay? I think it was Moses that warned Pharaoh 12 times. So one time there was pests, okay? One time there were frogs. One time, I don't remember the whole 10 of them, okay? But 10 times Pharaoh was warned, let my people go, let my people go, okay? And they were enslaved, okay? And this is where it gets intricate, because it's not one-on-one. But the 10th time, all the Jews had to mark their doorways red. They had to mark the doorways red with blood, okay? The first son of every family that lived in Egypt, from the king to the commoners, was killed. The first son. It was called Makat Bechorot, okay? The first son. Now you must remember, this is happening in Venus sign. What else did we have in 7th of October? Rape of women. Yes, of course, it's not in any way divinely guided that somebody will be raped. It's not. But the thing is that the story was that the doorways had to be marked for the Jews, because every first child of those who were enslaving the Jews had to be killed in Egypt. Okay? Now, the Jews are not in Egypt. Okay? They have a country, and there are people who say that they are oppressed by Jews. Okay? So there's a lot of intricacies. A lot of people are going to try to take it in a lot of places, but we cannot ignore the Jews all around the world had their doorways marked with the Star of David, and Uranus is going to go over this point in Passover. My God! You know, you don't have to be religious. I'm telling to you, as even if you look at it from a point of history or her story. This is the history, and astrology is bringing back this religion, radicalism, and something to do with the Taurus land that is Israel today, but also Ukraine and Belgium, and something to do with women. Okay, so the direct motion is in the end of January, and all the signification of Passover, and the thought about women fearing enslavement, and all the many significations. Jupiter Uranus is radicalism, and there's something radicalized about religion. I suspect that there's going to be a radical revolution that is going to be antithetical to a radical orthodoxy, and will have women involved. Okay, in what way, I don't know, because I don't know what will these women want. It doesn't mean that they represent every woman. Okay, but Taurus is a fixed sign. It's kind of traditional. It's not, it's not Aquarius. It is Taurus, and it is not Libra. But I think there is going to be an antithetical force, and this antithetical force is happening as Uranus is applying to perfect the bisextile with Pluto and Neptune. Okay, anything that does not include women's rights here is going to be receiving antithetical motion that is in alignment with both the plutocracy. Pluto is going to be in Aquarius, so it could be like hackers, or just something scientific oriented, and Neptune, so also medical. So there is going to be an antithetical. We are already beginning. People call it the split of the worlds. It's not exactly so. And I talked about the geography, not the geography, the yoga and the geometry of this. But there are going to be a lot of forces using this bisextile both to try to impose stuff on humanity, but also to get out, or to be antithetical to those forces to try to impose things. So the more, again, we have another month of this Uranus on the 19th degree of Taurus. Okay, Saturn in Jupiter's sign is about repentance. So repenting, sometimes it's repenting that we didn't do something earlier. Okay, I'm tending to my hair, my roots, my ancestors, all these things that I didn't know how to do, and I feel like overwhelmed, and I repent that I didn't do it earlier for my body, for my well-being, and so on. But Saturn can also be repent for something that we did do. Okay, or something that we did believe. Okay, so it's a slow cycle of repentance, not from a sense of fear or like the scary part of karma, more like realignment. Let's align ourselves with a reality check to our beliefs, and see what manifests, what doesn't. Okay, what is really healthy for us to believe in, good for us to believe in, what doesn't, and so on and so forth. So yeah, this is what is going to be happening. The moon will go over the square from Leo to this point as it happens on the day where Uranus turns direct. And it will be trining Mercury direct in Capricorn and Mars in Capricorn. So Mars is going to be exalted at this time, very informed. And Saturn, its ruler, is going to be well placed here with a sextile to Venus and a sextile to Jupiter. the ruler of Saturn. So we're going to get a lot of support to do the right thing at the right time with the right people, especially when it pertains to technology, to children, and being informed about, yes, darling, about all of the above, okay? So, what I have to say more about this Uranus, well, I want you to pay attention. I want you to pay attention the entire month to this Uranus and the themes of Uranus and Taurus that have been there since 2018. And you might be thinking and understanding. Venus is also to do with fertility for the part of being the importance of the orgasm, for example, for fertility, the importance of willing consent, to improve upon conception and labor, let alone child bringing, So one of the things I was saying actually to Caitlin the other day, and that was about fertility. Okay, so now pay attention to 2018, because I noticed I have been having things to do with synchronicities of the Thema Mundi. When I did not know anybody, not her, not Austin, not the cast, not anybody. And I realized this must be something to do, because Thema Mundi has to do a lot with fertility. And that this must have something to do with this. Okay, so pay attention. And what happened in COVID? Who did it affect the most? The fifth vital sign, men and women who have a womb, okay, who menstruate. They notice this first, because your sperm count you only do if you're trying to conceive and it doesn't work, then you do sperm count. But usually you don't do sperm count. Maybe it's wrong. Maybe we should do it more, because men deserve, or not only men and women that have that produce sperm deserve to the chance, to basically, yeah, lovely, yeah, mama, come, mama. Yeah, so deserve the chance to know what's going on. And yeah, Baba. And so, yes. Okay. Yeah. And so you understand that when it comes to fertility and what happened in COVID, we had interference to the fertility cycle. And there's a lot of interest to control birthing, both from the side of, women and the men that have the ability to conceive a child, wanting to plan pregnancy, but also from other factors that want the birthing and the population to be under control, not of the people who give birth to the babies. Okay? And so those things can be a theme that you have been dealing with since 2018. Uranus has been in Taurus since 2018. Okay, so pay attention to fertility. Pay attention to technology involved in fertility, and when does it serve you? And how do you keep it in a way that is serving the people? Social credit score, anything to do with credit, getting rid of cash, digitalized coins, all of these topics, okay? You want to be paying attention. What has been happening, maybe you thought social credit score is a good idea, you will be able to know if someone is a thief living around your neighborhood, and then during COVID you were evacuated and you had to steal food yourself because you understood that there is only so much that people can help you, and you eat 2-3 times a day, and there is not enough charity to go around. Okay, so either you would manage to steal food, or you will be hungry and unable to protect yourself. So perhaps your worldview has changed a little bit, or your habits have changed. Okay. Another thing is the role of art and the fiscal power of artists. Art and artists and art investments. During the Ukraine war, there was confiscation of the ability to sell art by oligarchs, by Russian wealthy people. And that had affected their wealth. Okay, if you cannot sell this art, there is an embargo on buying from you, you cannot make exchanges. So this has all kinds of point of view. And one say maybe you are kind of like in the Ukraine side and you said, oh, this is good. But then it can happen to you as you're trying to sell stuff and escape your country if you need to flee your country. Okay, and stuff like that. So the investment in art, there was also the rebellion, the tomato rebellion, the throwing of tomatoes on art because of the food costs. Okay, the convoy, remember the convoy? Venus also rules cars. So using trucks to rebel. And the congestion of cars, okay? All of these topics have already been existing since 2018. Now we are having another chapter. Yes, for example, maybe you thought that cruelty-free meat is going to be such a great idea, but then is it cruelty-free? Do they or don't they have cancer cells in it? If they use brainstem, so it's not exactly cruelty-free because what is the process? No. I know, but you will have your own food very soon. Yes, Baba. And so you will be having this. You will be having this kind of revelation, second thoughts, being more informed. While things manifest, okay, you might see, oh, now they are selling this meat that is not really meat, and they don't brand it differently, and now I cannot eat meat. And maybe before that you were vegan, and then you had, I don't know, problems with your endocrine system, hormonal system, okay? So it's both reaping results, but kind of changing our mind. And there's another chapter with Uranus Taurus. Uranus Taurus can also be women scientists, women in astrology, women channelers, your claircognizance using the body. Okay, so what is the limitation of this, and is it useful? Is it consistent? What do you need to take into consideration? Okay, when you kind of like channel your body and having the claircognizance through the body. Okay, all of those things. Technology of agriculture. Again, we talked about meat, but not only meat. The fruits and vegetables that we are having right now have way less minerals and vitamins than before. And once you could eat a couple of apples and you would get the vitamins and minerals, now you need to eat a couple of kilos to get the same amount. And why is this happening? So part of it because of the fluoride and other toxins. And part of it is the agriculture, and that there is technology that brings us more apples. But do these apples actually contain the nourishment that we need? Those topics again are coming, and they can even be the verdict whether can I be a vegan, can I not be a vegan. Maybe in the past you could be a vegan, but now all the food is polluted, so it's not sure that vegan or not vegan will even solve your problems. And those are the things with the trine to Mars and Mercury. We're going to be having wisdom around children, around blood, hereditary things, or things that belong to the generation. Again, regarding food, regarding rebelliousness, we can have a rebellious streak that we actually know what to do and it is successful. And we also have the patience to succeed here with this one. Okay, so the moon is going to bring in this Uranus, and it's going to be trine in Mercury, conjunct in Mars. The risk is of harsh words, but other than that, you might even want to bring an election of Venus in Taurus of Uranus in Taurus with this one, if you want to capture this talisman for some reason. And we are having more than a month to think about if we want to do this or not. What is Uranus on the 19th degree? What do we say? And do we want to continue on pursuing this? So, yeah. And you say, oh my God, I spoke so much about Uranus to Taurus. Believe me, I'm not done. Okay, this will probably deserve the entire episode. Now let's talk about the ingresses before we go to the lunations. So let's see. Mercury enters Capricorn on January 14. And this ingress is going to bring us a practical Mercury. It's still in its shade when it ingresses. Okay. The moon will visit the anaretic degree of Aquarius and sextile this ingress. This is going to just bring the episode in the Mercury shade period where our communication is practical, but also anything that does a motion through Saturn's sign is receiving a 28 years cycle. So if you think about Exes coming back, you think 28 years ago. You don't just think last time Mercury was in Capricorn, or if it's your 7th house, but you think about a really big cycle of retrogression that Mercury tackles. So the details that you find out can be so useful that will help to set up the continuation of this Saturn cycle for you, whichever it is, whether it's a Saturn return, a Saturn maturation, or Saturn going through and continuing a cycle that it recently opened. Having this Mercury going in Saturn sign is an ability to tend to these things, to tend to the little information, the little details in contracts that are of years. For example, think about adverse possession. Okay, how many years do you need to live in a stranded place for it to be yours? Are these rules going to be changed? Okay, what happens if, if there are lawsuits involved? All of these topics are now going to begin to incarnate, begin to manifest. You're going to begin to be seen things, and you need to go back to what happened. Okay, for example, if it is the structure of a building, okay, is the structure going to be good? Is it going to sustain, let's say, an earthquake? That can be, and you really need to see what has been going on, okay? Because those issues you're going to get another detail that contributes to the picture. You're going to get more information about these things. So you want to be very informed. Saturn also rules kind of like witchcraft, okay? Both the good witchcraft and the not good witchcraft. So you might even be getting information about this too. This is the ingress. So next up is Venus, and Venus is going to ingress into Capricorn on January 23. So Venus Capricorn is again doing with commitments, doing with driving license, okay? The doing with debt about the car. If maybe you purchase a car and you need to take a loan to purchase a car, or you're getting married and you need to take a loan to get married, or you're getting divorced and you need to take a loan to pay for the lawyer. Yes, with Mars there you could be. So Venus is very practical in Capricorn. And Venus in Capricorn is kind of like the nitty-gritty things you need to know. Saturn also rules the history of something. So history of relations, history of this car brand, history of art is appropriate to indulge yourself in this time. And she will be going from the square to Neptune to the sextile of Neptune. If right now she is applying to square Neptune, while sextiling Saturn, yes, then she will be going to the square to Neptune, releasing from the square to Neptune as she ingresses to and sextile to Saturn. Yes, yeah, no, she will be sextiling Saturn right now. And later sextile Neptune. Okay, so right now, as Venus is very practical, she's still releasing from a certain longing and a certain illusion that is still in effect for her. And now she's searching for the practical way to meet this dream and this illusion, but in reality. And that can be about relationships, that can be about investments as well, okay? Maybe she wants to have some material security or reach a position in society. And so she goes from extreme optimism to disillusionment and a journey of the closing square to the closing sextile with Neptune. So you know the notion of dream big, even if you always reach for the star, for I don't know, whatever it is, at the moon, yeah, but the moon is the closest. So even if you fall, you land among the stars, and that is very much a correct description to what happens to Venus going from Sagittarius to the end of Capricorn. Okay, it is about dreaming very, 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 very big, falling among the stars, because in Capricorn she is in a high position in society. Okay, is she satisfied is another question, but she definitely learns to reach some success in realizing her dreams and her creative potential. This might be the Venus that will get to the grind, and if she's singing, start recording daily. If she's writing, start writing daily. If it's about her appearance, then starting to nourish her skin or changing her nutrition, and so on and so forth. So this is the ingress. And January 4, which is the closest, the Mars is ingressing into Capricorn. Okay, so the ingress of Mars to Capricorn is where Mars finally releases. It's already began to release from the square to Neptune, and moving from the sign where Mars is, taken far, but can be disillusioned, where is Sagittarius land, to the sign where Mars is exalted. Okay, think about, although Mars and Saturn are not friends, Mars is action, Saturn is duration. So actions that stand the test of time. dedication that stands the test of time. This is the land where Mars is entering when it ingresses to Capricorn. Okay, and it releases from a square to Neptune to the closing sextile. And that means that, it releases also from the sextile to Saturn. So the sextile to Saturn holds Mars when he is in square to Neptune. But then it's kind of like when you learn how to ride bikes and you're not like from Netherlands or something, then there are the small wheels attached to the back wheel of the bike. And Saturn is kind of like these small wheels that get you through Neptune land, and then Mars releases the wheels, releases the sextile to Saturn as it applies to sextile Neptune, You learn the art of walking your talk and realizing your dreams in the material plane. And so this is a great time for action, for taking one giant leap, but Saturn is going to block the action a little bit, not block like the square, but limit, restrict the action a little bit so that you don't overstep yourself in such a way where you're injured. And so this is a great time. If you have always wanted to learn how to do, I don't know, the backflip or the bridge or something athletic that you've always wanted to learn how to do, this can be a time where you can practice it and learn how to do it in a safer way. Okay, Mars in Capricorn land is practical, and it has determination, and it wants to reach the top, and it will reach the top. So with the sextile, with approaching sextile to Neptune, the top has something to do with your ability to dream, your ability to create, your ability to manifest, but also healing, some sort of a sense that you give something to more than just yourself. Okay, and you do it from the top. Yes, it can also be washing. Okay, so you could be successful at doing greenwashing or stuff like that. This can all, because Mars Saturn is just about being successful. Okay, but because Mars is in Pisces, then there is also a limit to how much washing you can do, and Mars learns this limit and learns to adjust itself. So this is then the other ingress that we have, that is the closest. Now that we've talked about all the ingresses, the Sun, of course, at 20th of January, the Sun will ingress into Aquarius. And this is also the sign where Sun is in detriment. Sun is about being the inspiration and being the only one to whom people pay attention to, the king, the queen, where everything surrounds the Sun. And Aquarius is the farthest from the Sun. Okay, so Sun is now visiting all those people that never bothered to see the show. Okay, so you think about and it can be again, it's a distance kind of a thing. Okay, think about Beyonce going to some old village that never got TV, that never got electricity, and never heard about Beyonce. Okay, so it can be even exciting for her because she's used to such treatment from people, and now she's seen by people who have no idea who she is, and it can be very exciting. And this is the experience of the Sun. It can be very exciting, but you're not going to have the red carpet before you. You're just going to be running as one of the commoners. But if people do know you, then this might be the politicians that goes to the market to advertise themselves. Pardon. And they meet the people, and some of the people like this politician, but some of the people are quite pissed at them, and they think that they are coming from so far, you know, to the commoners, and like, what about us, and what about our homes, and what about our food, and so on and so forth. So Sun in Aquarius is farthest from the sun in a way, so it's a dissonance there, but it can also be a time where the people who are more humanity oriented in terms of ideas, okay, because Aquarius is a bit, it is ruled by Saturn. Before we talk about Uranus, traditionally Aquarius is ruled by Saturn, and we cannot ignore that. This is the one that walks out of the order, and it works in isolation because it has ideas for humanity, but it also, because it's Saturnian, it will also manifest the ideas it has for humanity. Now everybody's doing that. Okay? So you think about new fields of studies, science people, and it's going from one dogma to another. That is just the story of Sun in Aquarius, happens every year, but now it's the time of the season. Lunations. Okay, before we go into the interesting aspects and so on, lunations. So, yes, but where? Oh, this is the first one. Okay. Yes, I really like what screen did I go to? Because yes, so January 11 is the new moon, and you see here this lovely site by astro has the organs that Capricorn rules: knees, joint, backbone, spinal muscles, patella bones, tendons and ligaments, skin and hair, a spleen, which is the organ of balance. So this is lovely. Haven't seen this, and of course there's if you suggest surgical intervention, then of course we don't do it when we don't see the moon, and we don't do it when the moon is growing. So yeah. Now, new moon, 20 degrees Capricorn, ruled by Saturn. Saturn is direct. Everybody is direct except for Uranus. The new moon is going to be trining Uranus retrograde. Okay, so this is something a bit interesting. We know, I talk about, when I talk about the structure of 2024, and there are a series of episodes that I did about synodic cycle. I talk about the fuga structure. Okay, where you have one cycle, and into this cycle there's another cycle, and into this cycle there's another cycle, and all of these cycles are playing together. And now we're going to begin at least a 6-month cycle of moon conjunct sun in 20 degrees Capricorn, trining Uranus retrograde in Taurus. Okay, it's releasing. Okay, it's not an applying aspect, but it's a separating aspect, even if it's 1 degree. And yet, Uranus is retrograde, and we're still going to have this song of Uranus retrograde while Uranus is going to be direct. Okay, so you want to pay attention to this sound, okay, to this voice that is going to be playing out. It's the voice of that reminds you of something that happened before Uranus went direct, okay? And we might be needing, because the new moon is in Saturn, we might be needing this voice. It might be more important. Saturn rules karma, it rules our cumulative actions and their results. So we're gonna have, during the cycle of the new moon, it's opening a cycle where we're gonna have a voice that's reminding us of the past while Uranus is going to go direct, and everything will be moving smoothly. There's going to be this, hey, do you remember that? How loud will this voice be, and will we listen to it, is another question. But now that we are informed of this voice, we want to pay particular attention on your thoughts, what's happening around the time of the new moon. All in all, other than that, there is a slowly applying conjunction to Pluto. It is still far, and a slowly applying sextile to Neptune. Saturn is very much okay here, sextiling Mars. That is a happy Mars, okay? I don't know if it is correct to do Mars talismans when Saturn is in Pisces, but other than that, you might want to capture this Mars, okay? You might want to capture this Mars if you get to. I tried to find an election, I didn't find any. It doesn't mean that there isn't any, it just means I might have not looked closely enough. And Saturn is also sextiling Jupiter in Taurus, which is yet another one that you might want to capture, because Jupiter in Taurus, great yields of fruits, joys of the senses, big cookies, big fruits, big cookies. So you want to be aware of the sweet tooth. But other than that, Jupiter in Taurus, of course, is the abundance of the material stuff, the abundance of the Venusian joy. And Venus here is in Sagittarius, is an okay sign. Even if she is alone and free, which you might need, okay, if you're like, even if you're not codependent during crises, people tend to try to look for relations and so on. Venus being alone and free is kind of cool in that context for some people. So I don't have any particular thing to say about this. I might want to look at asteroids and see if I have more to say about this. And I don't. There is Hygeia next to Saturn. There is the Pluto Sedna. Okay, Sedna is still retrograde on the 29th degree of Taurus. I don't know when is she going direct to Gemini, but this is, this is something that deserves an episode of its own, and I need to honor Sedna more to tell you more about this. Sedna deserves an episode of her own. We absolutely, those of us that are in any way inclined to learn about what people call shamanism and the arts of healing, of those that came 7 generations before us, then we already see the connection between the relation to girls, the relation to women, the relation between women and themselves, and the soil, the land, the health of the land, invasion to a country. I talked about this on and on and on and on and on. And please study Inuit culture, honor Inuit culture. It's the origin of most of us, basically, very much like Africa is the origin of most of us. And what has been going on there, how these people are being treated today, and the effect on the high suicide rates that are unfortunately happening. All those Venus things, the Venus themes of Sidna in Taurus, they deserve an episode of its own. So before going to mundane stuff or to women of the 7th of October, or perhaps even women in Ukraine, because from my point of view, the women, or maybe women in Russia, maybe there are things we didn't hear about Russia that were happening there as well. So before we go to even the modern stuff, let's go to the origin, okay? What's going on in Inuit culture? What do we know now that we didn't know before? And how is the relation to Inuit culture today and the isolation which many of them live in, contributing to the highest rates of suicide in the entire planet? Okay, these are the ancestors of literally all of us, and there's just so much to it. and at the same time, the throat singing, that is healing of the throat, but also the sensuality, the expression. So the healing that comes from the Inuit is the throat singing, um, how by expression, letting go of your diaphragm, you can heal. And this is, it's sex chakra, throat chakra. There's nothing more I can say about this. Um, and this is just fascinating. So honoring Sedna, when Sedna is in Taurus, you can honor Sedna on Friday or Venus Day, or on a Monday evening, which is actually right now. So in a couple of hours where I live. So definitely honor Sedna. Listen to some original Inuit throat singing. Maybe try to sing along in your home. It can be very healing, but be cautious if you try to do something yourself with the body. This is releasing sex chakra, and you could be releasing ancestral sexual trauma. Please be very cautious when you address this. Just saying, okay? So there's just a lot about this. And Pluto is right now trining Sedna on the 29th degree retrograde. She deserves an episode of her own. I do need to do more divitational work to bring in more to you from that. And then she will go to Gemini. So this is the new moon. Is it something with fixed stars that I need to talk about? Yes, there is a fixed star here. I will just pass the torch to Victor because he always talks about these things, and I will see what he has to say because for sure he has something interesting to say about this. But that is just the new moon. It's fairly okay. It's fairly smooth. It's just the voice of Uranus that's going to remind you something that you need to take into account as everything goes direct for you. Now the full moon, January 25, is in Leo. 5 degrees Leo, with the sun in Aquarius. So this is an interesting, because the moon is in Leo, but the ruler is in detriment. So it just means that you are exposed. Full moon always exposes a shadow of something, okay? Because moon is a reflection. When we see the reflection in full, then we see a truth. What am I projecting onto this topic? And we have the 5 degrees coming up with the moon, the sun, and the Saturn, the ruler of the sun, in Pisces, 5 degrees Pisces. There is a T-square with Jupiter in Taurus. So we're probably going to see some revelation around the role of religion in the relations between leaders and the people, medicine. Venus, the ruler, is in Capricorn sign. So we're going to see the role of perhaps of Orthodox women, okay? Orthodox religious women in shaping the relations to what we consider scientific even. For example, in Israel, there are a lot of very Orthodox women that began to study computer engineering and computer programming, okay? We might be having some revelations of how very Orthodox women come into the fields of science and change what we see as scientific, or what do they think when they encounter these things, or the meeting between religion, women, and science, and the people is going to be, and with Saturn in Pisces, also healing practices or medicine is going to play a part, and drugs as well. So we'll see. It can breed certain scholarly thought that can be perhaps the woman equivalent of Maimonides, okay? But it can also be a downfall as well. We really don't know Okay, what will be? Okay, do these Orthodox women represent anything like modern women? Okay, will their medicine be healthy for modern women? We don't know. Okay, the fact that they're women doesn't mean that they represent all women. Okay, just like men who think one way don't represent all men or other genders. So this is full moon that is creating kind of like a benefic tension because it's Jupiter, which is supposed to be resolved in 6 degrees Scorpio. Mars is conjuncting Mercury in Capricorn, so Mars is strong. We may have a practical solution for this T square by Mars. And Mars is and Jupiter are applying to trine a retrograde Uranus. So there is some sort of a rebellious streak coming as the resolution of the quasi tension that we have here between scholarly to spiritual, or as not esoteric but more spiritual or religious. This is more religious thought or philosophy. And how will it play in your life? It can be a conversation that you have at home. It can be a conversation that you have with people on the bus. It can be something you read about in the news, or it can be something you meditate on. But it also impacts your body, it impacts your medicine, it impacts the thought, and so on and so forth. Now let's look at, okay, in terms of the asteroids. Yes, I don't see anything in particular. And in terms of the fixed stars, okay, there are some fixed stars that I'm going to have to kind of study deeper. To come with more information, because they can change the picture and add more details. So, but I will let my colleagues do their own version and then see if I have more information before that. So those are the kind of interesting no, those are the interesting things, the main things that we see happening. Now let's talk about some aspects. So there are the ongoing 2024 synodic cycles. Major stuff. Yes, we have the Sun square Chiron on January 6th. It's transient. But the Sun conjuncting Pluto on January 20th. Okay, this is the anaretic degree. This is the exact conjunction. And the moon is trining it on January 20, okay? So again, for those people that want to capture Sun-Pluto conjunction for some reason, you can do this. My suggestion is that you can do this on something that you can later say thank you and bye-bye to, but it can also last you longer. I don't have a complete idea on how to do this. If it is like writing a note that you can preserve and laminate, but also discard, because we don't know. Okay, this is a very intense conjunction, but yet this Pluto will not be in Capricorn for another 300 years or so, almost 300 years. Then you might want to capture this. Okay, and the moon in 29 degrees Taurus is still in place. Oh, before the moon reaches 29 degrees, then you might want to see if you have an election that you want to capture this Pluto. It's not a beginner thing and it's highly experimental. Note that Mars is going to be on the 11th degree of Capricorn, which has to do with suicide. I know that this is not traditionally looked at, but Pluto is not also traditionally looked at. And I want you to have all the information so you can make your judgment. Okay. Um, that is the beginning of another Sun Pluto cycle, synodic cycle. You're likely to be transformed and informed. Okay, taboo topics of leaders are going to be revealed, but also leaders can hide something. It works both ways. Sun can shed light on Pluto issues to do with Capricorn. Once again, so very important aspect. Now for the transient stuff. Well, I might dedicate another episode to this. I want to give you the some sort of a spending dictionary, okay? Because this is not about trading or anything like this. I'm at all not experienced in that, so I cannot tell you much. But this is more about like your expenses. Mercury will square Neptune on January 9. Okay. So, what happens when Mercury, the planet of purchases, trades, technology, squares Neptune? On the one hand, it's kind of like a Mercury retrograde. Be careful with water and cell phones. They don't blend together, okay? But another thing is that you might want to make a purchase. With Sagittarius, it might be a good book you want to, or a song, or a music concert that you want to do, or a vacation that you want to do. And it's something you have longed for a long time. So money is going to be flying out of your pockets. Now, of course, you have to be aware of forgery and scams. But in terms of spending money, if you're living on a budget, okay, budget this, okay, January 9. Don't expect, it's like those people that have a diet, okay, and they're getting into, if you, let's say, menstruating, you're getting into menstruation, okay, and you're expecting to eat the same as you always eat in your diet. Like, what is happening to me? Nothing, darling. You won't be need some chocolate, okay? Because maybe you haven't learned how to do it in a more healthy way, or maybe you're just not radical and you're like, just have your chocolate, darling. Have your coffee, okay? So this is also working the same with money, with purchases, with expenses, okay? If you have been looking at this book, this vacation, this so give me something, Jupe, philosophy book, I don't know, philosophy podcast that you wanted to be, or course or workshop or something like this, and you're like, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. Not that I have any fantasies on astrological magic with Krasi or anything like that, but if you, I'm not getting dividends for that. Yeah, behave, and I might say a name. So the thing is, you're going to be doing this anyway. It's like, where's my money? There isn't any. So let's, oh, I have this one. This is supposed to be for food, but this is food for thought. I need that, okay? and it's going to go out of your pocket. It's going to feel like an addiction. Again, if you don't have like addiction problems in general, it is just Mercury squaring Neptune. Now, what can happen with the square? You might be disillusioned around what you're going to do with it, because at that time you might convince yourself that you're going to make money from this, that this is going to be your job, or that this is going to save you in some way. The fact is that, darling, you have been craving this for a while now, and you can crave a course as much as you can crave a cookie. And you wanted that cookie, and you're gonna like that cookie. It's not going to serve what you say to yourself that it would serve, but you also cannot be looking at the same cookie for like half a year and not expect one day you will not just like, oh damn it, I'll buy that cookie, and it will be like the worst time possible. But the cookie now, first of all, it can absolutely be a very big like croissant or something like that. It can be something like that, and that's simple. Mercury can be also small expense, but because it is in Jupiter's sign, it's going to be a bigger expense, okay? And it can also be about a philosophy course, you know, a vlog, or even a charity. It could be like, I really wanted to give this charity for a while now, and I haven't been doing that, and now I'm going to do it, even though you can't afford that. So that's the deal. This is January 9. Your money's going to come out of your pocket, okay? Expect that. Now we have Mercury squaring Chiron, January 26th. And this is, okay, this one I also want to address in terms of expenses. It's not just expenses, it also means some words are going to go around your identity in a way that triggers you. Somebody's going to say something and that touches on your identity, okay? It's like somebody's going to say something about astrologers when I'm in academia, and I'm going to feel like wanting to give a preach, okay? But I might not really have anything to say because I know how they meant it. And it can be something so simple, like I had someone that I absolutely adore. Yeah, not all of them are sex offenders. And they said, well, talking about the international relations and kind of like, oh, lack of governance is not chaos, meaning chaos without having any patterns or anything. And, every time he would say that, I would like almost physically stomp my my lips from saying, but chaos is, it doesn't matter. Nobody cares. Okay? You know what he meant. You know how he meant it. He doesn't have to know what chaos theory is, and it is like, and you don't even know the details of it either to the detail. But it can be something as simple as that. Okay? You get annoyed about something, about a word, about something that somebody says, and it's itchy. Okay, it's itchy, and it touches a wound in you. Now, because Mercury is also money going in and out of your pocket, or exchange of cash, you might be dealing with a wound around your wealth, and money can come out of your pockets. It's just like those diet things where people are like, I'm going to stop eating sugars, and then you go next to the ice cream shop, and they have a lot of sugar-free flavors, but you want that one. And they have the same one without sugar, but you want that one with the cream and the sugar and the honey and the everything, that one, okay? Why? Because you said you're on a diet. And Chiron can be like that. So this is happening 26 January. And that is going to be a purchase that you purchased when you said you were going to keep it tight with your wallet. You keep it very tight. There's just nothing in it. Okay, this is the way Chiron works. Okay, it's just you have to be compassionate with yourself. You're going to learn this through practice. Mercury is going to square the nodes on January 29. And this is a fated purchase or a fated expense. So it's going to be happening from Capricorn. and it's going to conjunct an 18 degrees and ill will Mars. Okay, so um, it can be something to do with health. It can be something to do with something you have to buy for your health in a fate. You contracted something and you need to buy something to counter that over the counter. Um, and that is kind of like a fated expense. Okay, the money goes out of your pocket fatedly because it's Saturn, is because of some action that you took that's bringing this. Now you understand that there are things that you can do to mitigate that, but you also understand that there's something fated that's happening there. Mars is in the degree that's to do with poisoning, and Saturn is to do like either you're gonna have to buy a tincture or you're gonna have to buy like a rescue remedy. Okay, so there's some fated purchase that you why? Because you need to deal with your past actions. Okay, compassion is needed at every step here, and it's scheduled for you to be meeting this fate with your wallet. So yeah. Now another, both Venus and Mars are also to do with those things. Venus is more like spending on your pleasures, on your connections, on dates and stuff. So Venus square Saturn is not troubling to me. It just means that, oh, I want to buy this thing, and Saturn says, no, you don't have the money. Okay, so it's annoying as fuck, it's frustrating, but the money doesn't come out of your pocket. Okay, that's just sad. Venus square Lilith, not so concerned about this, like we'll have to observe. But then we have the Venus square Neptune. Okay, if Venus was holding it for Mars that was squaring Neptune, because she was trining Neptune, and she was kind of like making sure that Mars energy is channeled to a way that is benefic and pleasurable. Now she needs Mars to hold it for her, because she's going to be spending. She's insane. She wants to be free. She wants to travel. She wants to be a female solo traveler on a super yacht. Okay, and there really is no one to tell her. Saturn is sextiling, yes, but sextiling Mercury. There really is no one to check up on her while she squares Neptune. But Mars is releasing from the sextile to Saturn to slowly, it's not yet in orb, be applying to sextile Neptune. What it tells me is that Venus is left unchecked. Okay, reality is 19 January is gonna come. You better have some money in your pocket to empty it all on something that is absolute freedom to you. Okay, even if it's freedom fries. It really is that important. This is yet another one. So we talked about the 26th, we talked about 9th of January, now we're talking about the 19th. And I'm counting like false stuff because I am. If you want to do an orderly episode out of this to take my information, to put it in order, go ahead, tag me, like you're welcome. But yeah, Venus is spending. This is 19 January. You want to have some money in your pocket because she will not be saving money. And she's left unchecked. Okay, there's no one to tell Venus here, darling, are you sure about this destination? Are you sure you have the money to do this? She won't listen. And you must understand, this is the closing square. She has been longing this for probably since the opening square. Okay, it may be something she said, I'm buying, but the card didn't pass. Okay, now it's going to pass. She might be regretting this, or she might be feeling disillusioned, But it's one of those things that you just have to try it. What is she buying? Well, something to do with vacation. It can be something to do, like, don't expect that to be a philosophy course. Okay, this is Venus. She wants to enjoy that in a visceral, physical level. She wants to be present physically in a place where she feels free. So now there is a world war going on. Okay? So you can understand her longing is only more accentuated by the harsh reality of life. And so this is the time where she says, F it. I'm doing this. But you don't have the money. Oh, but there is a war now. Yes, exactly. Everybody can die tomorrow. I want to do this. I want to go there. I want to have a nice vacation. I want to go on a, I don't know, a spa. And there's going to be something Jupiterian, something to do with, well, not only traveling, kind of like, philosophical. She's going to have a whole philosophy around this purchase. So she's left unchecked. There's no one to tell her anything. And nobody is there to tell her anything. And there literally is nothing you can say anyway. So this is January 19. Now we go to Mars. So the Mars square Chiron, which can be another form of, everybody talks about emotional spending of women. Nobody talks about emotional spending of men. Okay? This is emotional spending of men. That money that goes out of your pocket on that day, this is January 25, is because you've been triggered by a wound. Here's a wound to your sense of self. Money might go out of the fly out of the pocket to fix that. So what does Mars Capricorn have to do when it hits the square with Chiron? Well, you might buy a branding deal for your business that is around you. Okay? You might, and it really depends on what does Chiron trigger in you. And because this is the square, it's an ouchie. And that can mean that you try to fix something with that purchase, money flying out of your pocket, but you're just feeling more rejected. So you're touching on this even when you try to fix this. This is the essence of the wound, and this is the ruler of Chiron squaring Chiron. So it's particularly ouchy. And so Mars, Saturn, with Saturn in Pisces, you can expect trying to, you might want to do psychedelics to deal with this. But you do psychedelics, and in your journey, you just like feel the wound even more because it brings whatever things you feel up to the surface. So you just want to get rid of it. So you're like, I'm going to do a psychedelic journey. I'm going to prove myself this. You just boosted up the wound. You understand with this one that you're going to do it anyway. And it's just going to be a bigger ouchie. When you try to solve this, it's kind of like another ouchie, and it's not going to be a square forever. It's going to sextile someday. Okay, so this is getting to the closing sextile with Chiron, and that's what I have to say. Okay, this is what you can be optimistic about. January 30, Mars is going to square the nodes. Where is it happening from? So this is also happening from Capricorn, 19 degrees Capricorn, conjuncting Mercury. So right after Mercury is going to do what it's going to do, you're scheduled in for another revisit to your wallet. And this is January 30. It's fated. It's releasing from the square to Chiron. Whether it's good or bad or benefic or not benefic, I cannot tell you, but I can say that again, because it is fated and Mars also rules expenses, can also rule real estate, and business, a business action, business transaction, and with Saturn, you might be just paying taxes, okay? You might be certain, you might be paying a fine, or alternatively, you just might be paying your annual taxation. I don't know where you do that, where you are, but it can simply be that, okay? That doesn't have to be anything dramatic. It can simply be life happening, but you're gonna have to schedule for that. You're gonna have to plan for that. You're gonna have to plan for that, and you're gonna have to not judge yourself when this money comes. When this comes to being, because it will. And that is just the way things are. That is just the way things are. Wait. Potatoes. So that's what I'm doing right now. Mashed potatoes. Yummy. Just so yummy. So yeah, I told you I'm gonna have to rise towards the end of this episode. Okay. I think we are done with also the expenses part. So in general, for the expenses, you want to locate the angles where, if it's your natal chart, outer planets, okay, stuff to do with outer planets, the Aries as well, and Chiron, hard aspects are money spending, manifesting aspects. If you know that it's coming, and when I say outer planets, the nodes, stuff like that, this is the time where you do, like, this is you and nature, baby. Okay? This is you and nature. You don't outwise nature at this time. Maybe you have a way, if you found a way to cope with this and that, yeah, post your videos, tag me, absolutely. But my general advice is you don't outsmart nature. Don't try. Don't try to save money when Venus is squaring Neptune. Why? Your wallet is going to be washed into the sea. And you're not going to do anything with that money anyway. And you're like, oh, damn, why didn't I buy that? Yes, because this is nature, baby. This is you in nature. So if you know that there's a tide coming, okay, if a volcano is about to erupt, you evacuate the damn city. There's nothing you can do. Okay? Unless everybody tell you you're safe nowhere. Everybody, we don't like your people anywhere. And so now there's, what can you do? A-bomb, I don't know. But, which of course has implications also on your people. But the thing is that when these times come about, you don't want to play it smarter than the tides of the waves. Okay? If you go around the winter and there are waves and it's risky, okay? You understand that there are precautions that you can take, but you can only go so much next to the sea without being swiped by it. So you can say, I won't go to the mall. Okay. If it works for you, fine. But you must also take into consideration that longing Neptune has a role. Pluto, whatever it's there to do, okay, it has a role. It's a process. And I think to plan for this will on the long run help you more than to say, okay, at that time I'm going to keep my wallet to myself, I'm going to not go online, I'm going to this, I'm going to that. Plan for the cheat meals, plan for the shoppings, plan for the unexpected stuff, set intention, okay? I'm meeting this month, absolutely not in a place like the square of Mars to Neptune. Whoa. Okay, that was in my 10th house. That was me buying essential oils again. This shit is expensive. And that was me investing in these things again, okay? So I don't meet January, and this was the holidays, so none of us is meeting January full pocketed and ready to conquer the world. We are very much with the tail, kind of like a dog with the tail between their legs, arriving at this time fully unequipped, but it doesn't have to be like that for the rest of the year. Okay? If we know that ahead, we can say, okay, those are the days where I can save more money, and those are the days where there's going to be something. And when we have a couple of planets all one by one going through these hard aspects with the other planets, then this is a month of spending. That's just life. If you understand the ebb and flow of things, then you can also come up with realistic solutions rather than trying the same thing all over again that everybody's doing and wonder if that's your ancestor from 7 generations ago that you're owning that. Venus is squaring Neptune right now. Okay? Do your ancestral work. Absolutely. Do your limiting belief stuff. Absolutely. But also, you like know the astro whatever. So this is it. I'm gonna have me some nice mashed potatoes and cream. Hope you have a good time.